Monday night is a special crowd, so I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate your patience with me and walking through this material. And I know we repeat some in order to, because Jesus is only saying one thing in the passage. So we're dealing with the Sermon on the Mount, which is chapter 5, 6, and 7. And we've looked at, we're really zeroing in on chapter 6, which begins at verse 25 in this closing section of this particular chapter. And this middle chapter, of course, is dealing with religion. He's taking the premise, the one thing he wants to say, and he's applying it to religion. And he closes out this section with this idea that he's suggesting to us, which begins in verse 25. And we're going to add a verse tonight. We're looking at verse 27. So we're going to read beginning at verse 25, 26, and then 27. He says, "Therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you'll eat, what you'll drink, about your body, what you'll put on. Is life not more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air, for they neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? Which of you by worry can add 1 cubit to his stature?" I suggested to some of you this morning that the relationship that Jesus is calling us into with himself is so huge and so deep and so far beyond our comprehension that we probably have no understanding about the depth of it. That Jesus wants to literally merge with us and become such an intimate part of the depth of our lives in so sourcing us and aiding us, that he wants to be so intimate with us that we have no comprehension of what that involves and the depth of that, and that he's constantly trying to reveal that to us. And in trying to explain it then, it becomes absolutely impossible to explain. I have no way of telling you the wonder of the intimacy with his presence and what it's going to be like in 1,000,000 years from now, and how that's going to develop in your life, and what he really wants to do and be in you. It is so huge, there's no way to explain it. And I got really discouraged about that. Except then in the scriptures, I began to discover Jesus had the same problem. He just tried to explain it, and he told parables about it, and he gave illustrations about it, and he just was always trying to say, do you get this? This thing is big, folks. This is huge. You and Jesus together in life is so huge. And he just constantly tried to explain it. He used all kinds of imagery for this. For instance, he said, I'm the vine, you're the branch. Well, folks, I'm not a branch. See, I'm not a branch. That's imagery. Trying to describe a relationship between God and man. Trying to describe what it is to have him come and live within you and literally be the source of your life. How do you explain that? I'm the vine, you're the branch. Now, the branch is the branch and the vine is the vine. I get that. But they are so interconnected. The very fibers of the branch intertwine themselves into the vine, and the vine into the branch. You can cut the branch off, but you always have a stub, because you just can't remove that thing. It's just so, he's talking about, his life sap is flowing in us, and the branch has the bark of the vine and bears the fruit of the vine. It is the vine. No, it's not the vine. The vine is the vine. The branch is the branch. But they are... See, he's trying to imagery. Well, that went so well, I'll give you another one. He said, and this is all over the scriptures, I'm a child of God. We're children of God. I'm a son of the divine. But folks, that's imagery. Don't get mad. I'm not really a son of God, because I don't have a mother. Who's my mother? There is no mother. It's imagery. See, he's dipped into the human relationship and come up with this father-son thing, which is my dad gave me these things, and he gave me this, and I walk like him, and the older I get, the more it's a relational. He said, don't you understand? I want to be that way with you. I want to be the very DNA of your life. I want to produce how you look. I want to influence your thinking. I want to be involved in the emotional makeup of your personhood. I want to determine how you walk. I want to reign over what you eat. I want to flow in your life. Come on. He's talking about intimacy, folks, and merger. Jesus said, "You're the bride of Christ." Folks, that offends my masculinity to the core. I'm not going to be a bride, especially in this generation, I'll tell you that. I'm not being any bride. It's imagery. Do you get that? He's trying to describe something he can't describe. He's talking about the honeymoon couple, man, and they're on their honeymoon night, and they're cuddled together at the midnight hour, and there's pillow talk going on. And he said, "Don't you understand? I want to live that way with you. I want to merge with you. I'm trying to tell you something I can't tell you. I'm trying to describe something I can't describe to you." Now, the Sermon on the Mount is full of that. That's the one thing he's trying to tell us. And he just uses imagery after imagery after imagery to say this, try to say this same thing. For instance, he starts out with the Beatitudes. Isn't it interesting? The first Beatitude is, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." The last Beatitude, 8, the 8th Beatitude is, "Blessed are those who are persecuted, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And he uses this kingdom of heaven imagery. That begins to flow through the Sermon on the Mount. The kingdom of heaven, it's imagery. It's the bookends of the Beatitudes. In other words, the whole Beatitude hangs on the fact of the kingdom. What's happening, folks, is there's going to be a relational involvement that's going to look like the kingdom. It's going to be like, it's imagery, the kingdom of heaven. Now, that breaks down for us because in our culture, see, when you say kingdom to me, I think of a territory over which some big shot with a crown on his brow sits on a throne back in some palace someplace running the show. And he handles collecting taxes and paving the roads. I don't have time for that anyhow. And, he does that kind of thing. But he doesn't come down to my house to eat. I've seen him and waved to him on a parade, but he doesn't come down to my house. He doesn't dictate what I watch on TV, see? He doesn't dictate what comes out of my mouth. He's over there. See, that's a territorial, and if you move into his territory, he's your king. But that's not this. See, this is not a territorial idea, this kingdom. This is a relational idea. That he has come and embraced me, and in a sense, I have become his territory. That he and I, in my helplessness, he has come in his amazing resource, and he is literally supplying and bringing to. See, in the territorial idea of the king, he's always taken from me. I have to pay him taxes, man, and he's wanting my kids to go into the army, and he's wanting this, and he's wanting that, and I have to serve him, and I have to provide for him. But in this one, he's supplying to me, and he's giving to me, and he's flowing into me, and this is a whole, you can't go into the kingdom of heaven. You are the kingdom of heaven. And the kingdom of heaven is not a body concept. That's Paul. I'm this finger, you're this finger, so forth. And that's a great concept. And that is the body. And that is true. And we're not knocking that. But the kingdom is not that. See, I am the kingdom. And the king has literally come into my life. I am helpless. I get that. But his resource and his overwhelming greatness has literally merged with me. And I have become the territory upon which the divine God is acting out his life. See, he's the king and I'm the dumb. King dumb. Woo! That fits, brother. That's imagery. Trying to describe something you can't describe. Now, when he gets done with the Beatitudes and that imagery of the kingdom, he says, what would it look like on the street? And he brings up this idea. You're the salt of the earth, the light of the world. What? It's imagery. Why would he use that imagery? Because it's a non-doing imagery. Well, why would he use non-doing imagery? Because I'm helpless. So if I'm helpless, I couldn't do it. So he talks not about Achievement, he talks about salt. You either are or you aren't. Light, you are or you aren't. You don't do it. There isn't anything you can do. It's beyond your control. So he uses this imagery about salt and light. Again, trying to describe the kind of relationship that takes place between you and him, and the intimacy that literally produces you into something you can't be by yourself. Then he looked at his disciples in chapter 5, and they look about like you. They what? And you can understand why they thought what they were thinking, because obviously they thought Jesus was dumping the whole Old Testament. And you can understand why they thought that. You understand there's the Old Testament with all the laws of God written out for us. And then here came the Jews, the Pharisees and Sadducees especially, but especially the Pharisees. And they looked at the Old Testament law and they made stuff up. They had oral traditions. Now, I understand we do that too, and I'm not knocking it. See, I have an iPhone. Well, what's the scripture say about an iPhone? Nothing. Well, I can do what I want to with my iPhone. No, you can't. No, you got to search the scriptures and take the scriptures and apply it to your iPhone. So you have to do that. Well, they had to do that too. The scriptures was ancient even for them. So they took the Old Testament, the writings, and they said, oh, what does that mean? And they made up all these rules. The oral traditions. And they made them all up. And it wasn't in the scriptures. They had all this Sabbath day stuff, and we won't go into all that. But Jesus broke those things right and left. He laughed at them. Psalm 10 on the Sabbath day and heal the withered hand. You can't do that on the Sabbath day. What are you doing? He let his disciples pick grain and eat on the Sabbath. What? They were so bent out of shape. See, he had to go. They had to crucify him and get rid of him because he was just messing with them. So the disciples looked at all that and said, oh, you're just dumping the whole Old Testament, aren't you? All that the Pharisees have put together and all the Old Testament, the laws of God. Jesus said, no, guys, no. I've come to fulfill. See, what I want to do is I want to take you over the top of the stuff you've made up. And I want to take you back to the Old Testament, and I want you to see what it really means. And if you want to know what it really means and how it really comes together, look at me, he said. I'm fulfilling it. And this is not going away. This is literally coming into its proper place. This is literally being fulfilled, meaning Jesus in saying about himself, I literally am accomplishing, pulling together, fulfilling, completing all that God has written in the Old Testament. Imagery. By the way, that's you too. You're the whole fulfillment of all that God dreamed. Jeremiah 31:31, what I've written on tablets of stone, the law that I've written on tablets of stone, I'm going to write on your inner heart. Well, he isn't going to do that. Good night. Imagery. What was on tablets of stone is going to become instinctive in me. Hey, I'm not against the 10 Commandments, but folks, you don't need to tell me I should murder people. I don't want to murder people. I want to save them. So I don't need that law. It's okay if it's there, but I don't need it. Why? Because I got something going on inside of me in the relational involvement with him, the kingdom, the salt, the light, the fulfillment. See, it's all imagery. He comes to this religious section. I want you to see this. He comes to this religious section and changes imagery. It's really interesting. Now, he takes, as we've said before, charitable deeds, brings that up, the three basic elements of all world religion. Charitable deeds, prayer, charitable deeds, how you treat others, prayer, your relationship with God, and fasting or spiritual disciplines. How do you grow in this? And he brings up those three subjects. And it's interesting, folks. This has got to mean something. Read this thing. He says the same thing about charitable deeds, about prayer, and about fasting. He doesn't say three different things. He doesn't give you instructions on three different topics. He says the same thing about all three of them, which means he's not talking about those things. He's talking about this merger idea, this relational involvement, this kingdom, salt, light, fulfillment. Now I want to give you another imagery of it, this relationship thing, this kind of intimacy that you ought to have with Jesus. Look, for instance, at chapter 6. And go down with me to verse 3, for instance. He says, "But when you do a charitable deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, that your charitable deed may be done in secret." Did you see it? In secret. And your Father who sees in secret says it twice. Now go to the prayer deal. Look at verse 6, chapter 6, verse 6. "But you, when you pray, go into your room, and when you've shut your door, pray to your Father who's in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret," says it twice. Said it twice for charitable deeds. Now he says it twice for prayer. Oh, go down to the fasting thing. Look at verse 18. "So you do not appear to men to be fasting, but to your Father who's in the secret place. And your Father who sees in secret," says it twice. Man. That must mean something, folks. And it's interesting when you see this in the original language, take it out of the English and put it in the original language. Literally every single one of those statements, we've changed it in the English, but in every single one of those statements, it's in the secret. There is no place. In the secret. That's the statement. In, you'll remember from the other night, is fixed. Into is a movement term, relocation. From is a movement term, relocation. In is fixed. So whatever he's talking about in this imagery is a fixed deal. You're not coming in, you're not going out. This is not I do sometimes, I don't other times. This is in. And it's always the word the or the. It's not a secret, the secret. It's specific. And the word secret is an adjective, which aggravates us to death. But it's an adjective that stands on its own. And when you say secret to me, it may be a bad translation, but when you say secret to me, it's like you're being deceptive. You're hiding something from me. See, he's not talking about that. Secret in another place is translated hidden, which is the idea of concealed. And what we've done to that is just awful. For instance, we've looked at it in the charitable deeds thing and said, oh, we're to do our charitable deed in secret, meaning no one's to know you did it. That isn't what he's saying. He doesn't give a rip whether anybody knows it or not. How do you know that? Because he said the same thing about prayer. So if you have to do your charitable deed in secret and nobody knows about it, then you have to pray in secret. And so, hey, our public prayers are sinful. Come on, he's not saying that. What's he talking about? Paul uses this same term, secret or hidden. You know what he said in Colossians? He said there's been this mystery which has been hidden. That's the word, secret. For generations of time, it's been secret. Oh, it's been a secret, folks. For all this time in the Old Testament, there's been a secret going on. We offer sacrifice lambs. Why do you do that? I don't know. God said to do it, so we do it. Hey, you light candles. Why? I don't know. We just do it. Hey, you pick up this tabernacle and you run around the cut. What are you doing? Oh, I don't know. It's a secret. Nobody knows what. Why are we offer incense? Why do we offer this incense? Beats me. We were told to do it, so we do it. That's all I know. Wow. That's all I know. It's a secret. Paul says, the secret secret is out. It's been made known. Really? Yeah, the mystery, the hidden, the secret that nobody's known, it's made known now. Everybody knows it. Yeah, whoa, what is it? Christ in you. That's it. That's it. It's the relational involvement. It's you and him getting together in such an intimate relationship that you live his mind in your mind, his heart in your heart. And you live in the secret. The mystery, the hidden, the thing you can't figure out. You can't describe it. There's something going on between you and Jesus that, wow. And you look at others and say, do you know what Jesus and I are? Martin Luther came up with this principle. He called it the principle of the hidden Lord. And this was the principle. He said, God has revealed himself by concealing himself. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard of. Yeah, God has revealed himself by concealing himself. What? If God wants to reveal himself, why doesn't he reveal himself? No, he hides. And in hiding, he makes himself known. What are you talking about? You come to me and say, show me God. I want to see God. If God is real, I want to see him. I say, come with me, bud. And I take you to a hill called Golgotha. And there's a guy on the middle cross, hair filled with dried blood, crown of thorn on his brow. His face is all puffed out. You couldn't recognize him if you knew him. Eyes are, beard is dangling. Hanging naked, shameful. Flesh is hanging in ribbons. He's 3/4 dead, hanging there. And I turn to you and say, that's God. You say, what? That's the creator of the universe? Yeah. That's the one that made everything? Yeah. That's the Lord of Lords and King of Kings? That's it. Yeah, that's him. Because don't you understand? He has hidden himself in the sufferings of a cross. And when you, by faith, kneel at that cross and embrace him in his sufferings, he reveals himself to you. And you go out of there saying, whoa, I know God like I never, whoa. And by hiding, he makes himself known. Wow. Which of you have you ever gotten up in the morning and just said, I hope everything goes wrong today. I hope all 4 tires are flat. I hope I get 15 calls with problems to solve. I just hope I hope I get sick. I just hope. Oh, no. Nobody in their right mind would do that except the individual who understands. It's in the dark moments. It's in the tragedies. It's when things are going wrong. It's in the dark night of the soul. That when you march into those kind of moments and you embrace him and say, I'm looking for you in the darkness when I cannot see, and you embrace him in those moments, you come out of those dark moments, whoa, you know Jesus like you, whoa. Because in hiding himself in the dark moments, he revealed himself. I want to assure you, I believe in the second coming. I believe he's coming back. I believe he's physically going to appear. I believe in a physical resurrection, split the eastern sky, show up, here he is. Kind of Jesus. He's coming back. I believe that. But folks, I want to tell you a little secret. He never left. He's here now. Now, when he comes back the second time, you know what I'm going to do? Fall at his feet. I'm going to say, oh, you came in the nick of time. I'm telling you, things are a mess, are really a mess. So you came at the nick of time. There's my family. Oh, there's my wife. There's my finances. I give it all to you. Folks, if you're going to do that then, do it now. Why? Because he's here now, just like he'll be here then. Well, prove it. I can't. He's hidden himself. He's in the secret. But I know he's here. Kingdom, salt, light, fulfillment, secret. It's all imagery. Trying to tell us about, do you know how he wants to know you? Would you open your life and allow him just to embrace you at your depth? Would you just open all the doors? Would you just let him invade you? Do you know how real God wants to be in your life? Do you know how far beyond religion this is? Then you come to our passage. Didn't think I'd ever get there, did you? Verse 25. And what does he do? Imagery. And he keeps adding to it. Therefore I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you'll eat, what you'll drink, about your body, what you'll put on. And again, let me say to you, he's not giving us a rule. This is not, do not be concerned, do not worry. He's not advocating irresponsibility. Don't worry about it. Put it on the card. Don't worry about paying your bills. No. How do you know that? Because he clarifies with a question. What's the question? Is not life more? So he establishes this more category, which is the kingdom, the salt, the light, the fulfillment, the secret, the more. See, it's all the same stuff. He's trying to talk about a relationship in the spiritual unseen world of your life, in the depth of your attitude, in the deep of your emotions, in the intimacy of your mind thought process, deep within you. He's talking about it's more than food. Come on. This is more than clothing. There's this more thing, which is the intimacy of him and you in your spiritual being. Would you let me embrace you there? Now he adds to that, which we talked about last night. Look at the birds of the air, that they neither sow nor reap nor gather in the barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Okay, I'm supposed to be bird watching? No, he's not talking about the birds. He's talking about the Father who cares for the birds. And look at that relational thing. A bird that has no value at all, you can buy, he said, two of them for a penny. Come on. They aren't made in his image. They have no eternal life. They won't live forever. What is the deal? Oh, look at how he loves you. If he did that for birds, what on earth do you think he wants with you? And then he clarifies it with a question. End of verse 26. Are you not of more value than they? So it's in this more category, this intimacy with him, this oneness with God, this merging with his presence, this you and Jesus living together in an intimate relationship until you become one person. It's in that more category that you find your value, you find your significance, you find your identity, you find who you are. And I know we hit this pretty hard last night, but see, I'm so concerned about this because we seem to derive our value from what we do. Well, I'm so muscular. Don't laugh. I'm so muscular and handsome, but then I get old and wrinkled. So what happened to my identity? What happened to my value? What happened to, I thought I'm tough stuff, and then I'm not. How do you figure that? Maybe my value shouldn't be in my... I am manly, I understand that. But maybe my value is not found in... Maybe my value is found in him. That's really significant. Now he says, here's the more category. Are you getting this? Kingdom, salt, light, fulfillment, secret, more. Here's the more category. It's imagery for the same thing. It's this intimate merger, not visitation, not aiding you, not counselor telling you what to do, not lawgiver giving you instructions, but merging who you are and who he is, coming together in a merger until a new creature is created. He says, let me add to that. Here's the more category. You find your value in that category. And then he gives you verse 27. Which of you, by worry, can add 1 cubit to his stature? Now, what's he mean by that? Well, stature, you got to see it in its context. The word stature in the New Testament can be used in one of 2 ways. And you don't know how it's used unless you see it in its context. Stature can be height. For instance, Zacchaeus was a wee little man. I would ask you to sing it, but only people over 90 know that song. So, Zacchaeus is a short guy. His stature, and it uses the word stature in the story with him, which is height. But then Jesus stayed behind, in the temple thing when he was 12. His parents came and got him. He went with them and became under their control. And it says he grew in wisdom and in stature. Is he just talking about age? No. Wisdom gives you a key to it. Wisdom and maturity. Wasn't height. He grew up. Now, what's he saying here? Well, the key is add 1 cubit. A cubit is from the end of your middle finger to your elbow, which they consider to be 21 inches. Now, who here would want to add 21 inches to their height? Not me. You couldn't go through the doorway, people. So he can't possibly be talking about height. What's he talking about? Not just age. It can't be age. It can't be, see, if you want to live forever, don't worry about it. You got that. Everybody is going to live forever. We said that last night. Everybody's going to live forever, folks. So you don't have to worry about that. So he can't be talking about that. What's he talking about? He's talking about maturity. He's talking about growing up. So which of you, by worry, can grow up? Let me give you an example. Problems come in my life. Upsets come in my life. And it's interesting. All the upsets in my life, all the things that make me mad, all the things that irritate me, you know where they come from? The physical realm. Manley, you're mad. I know. Why are you mad? Angels. Angels make me mad. Angels have never made me mad. Who makes you mad? You do. In our church, we have a community out back of the church, and we canvassed the church. That church, that building had a church in it, but it was shut down for about 5 years. Then we came, and so we canvassed the community. And everybody, not everybody, at least half of the people in those homes back there said, yeah, we used to go to the church there. And so I'd stop them and say, okay, why don't you go there? Why won't you come there now? Why did you quit going? Every one of them would tell me a story that had to do with somebody said so-and-so, did such and such, took my parking spot, said this to my kid. Well, we had this, and they wouldn't let me. It was always some physical deal. Well, they never said, well, they didn't pray loud enough, or they didn't pray long enough, or the sermons weren't long enough for me. See, nobody ever said that. Never mind. So, see, it was always some physical, well, so-and-so, So, hey, you make me mad. Well, how am I going to handle that? I'll tell you how I'm going to handle it, bless God. You take my parking spot and I'll flat your tires. I'll tell you, you'll not get by with that. I have seniority on that spot. And you're not going to get by with that. And if you keep pressing it, I'll take my toys and go home. And I act like a 3-year-old. No, it's not wrong to be a 3-year-old, folks. I've been one. Everybody's been a 3-year-old. But when you're 55 and you're still acting like one, it's pathetic. So he says, when you get all upset and when you worry and and you just get all bent out of shape and do you grow? No. You take your toys and go home and you don't grow. You stay a 3-year-old throwing your little fits. How do you grow? When the dysfunction comes, when the upset comes, when people don't treat you right. And hey, if I hang around you long enough, I'm not going to treat you right. I'll do something that'll make you mad. That's why I'm leaving Wednesday night. See, I'll make you mad. It's just the way we are, folks. So when somebody makes you mad, if you turn to him, the relation. See, if you come into him, if you get him in the middle of it, well, if you're merged, he is in the middle of it. So the way you treat me is the way you're treating him, so it's okay. Because this is not my deal, but his anyway. And in that clinging to him in the midst of the tragedies and the upsets and the conflicts of life, in the midst of that, what happens? His fingers become gigantic fingers of the potter who literally begin to mold me into sainthood. And I begin to, whoo. So you know what this passage is saying? Hey, Manley, you're probably not even here. I'm probably preaching to myself. Manley, grow up, boy. You gripe about this, you gripe about that, you complain about the church. Well, the church didn't. Well, Manley, why don't you? And you know what the Lord said to me? He said, Manley, you will never be hurt as much as you have hurt. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. Let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. How's that going to happen? Well, I'm taking my Tinker toys and going home. Never will it happen. It happens in the Jesus. such a 3-year-old. My. And yeah, God, I don't get mad and leave, and I just harbor grudges and fester inside. I write them off. I avoid them. And God, I know this is really dangerous. This is so dangerous. But Jesus, if I come to you tonight and I ask you to help me grow up, you're going to bring conflict in my life, aren't you? That's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to allow conflict to come and all kinds of things that aren't fair, and I'm going to whine and whimper and, well, I'm hurt, and I'm going to act like a 3-year-old, and then I'm not going to grow. Jesus, you're going to have to pull me out of this. I want to be a man of God. And I'm not coming to you tonight, Jesus, for solutions. I don't want you to wave some kind of magic wand and hocus pocus, all my problems are gone, and my kids have straight teeth. I'm not after that, God. I'm after you. I don't know the depth of this relationship. I don't know how to describe it, but I know I want all that is involved in it. I want you in my life in such intimacy and such oneness. I want all the doors broken down. I don't want theology. I don't want church doctrine. I don't want some information. I don't want data. I don't want a belief system. I don't want a list of rules. I don't want some stuff to do. I want to be salt. I want to be light. I want to be a kingdom guy. I want to live in the secret place with you. So again tonight, Lord, I'm kneeling. And I don't know what anybody else is going to do, and it's all okay, whatever they do, but I'm going to get on my face before you tonight, and I'm crying out to you, God. Save me from throwing my 3-year-old fits. Save me from my little hurt feelings and a little chip on my shoulder and beating my head against the wall like a little kid. May your Spirit invade me. I don't know what you need to do in me tonight, God, but whatever you need to do, do it. Probably stuff I don't even know needs to be done. Have at it. Tear down every wall. Open every door. Go through me like a bulldozer. Plow into me with everything you got tonight. Because I want in. I don't want to just step over the threshold. I want to be in the secret place, in the inner room where there are no windows, and I want to lock the door. You told us, go into the secret room. Go into the room. Lock the door. Stay there. Don't ever leave. I want to go into the inner secret room. Embraced by you. And I want my life to be a product of that intimacy. I'm counting on you, Jesus. I'm counting on you. Heads are bowed. Thank you for your patience while I pray. Maybe you want to utilize the time and come yourself. While you may not have thrown a 3-year-old fit, maybe you have some 3-year-old feelings in you. Do you know the wonder of His presence? Would you risk everything you are tonight to embrace everything He is? And find out that everything you are and need to be is found in what He is. Moments of seeking, moments of seeking. Be obedient.